Three of the biggest telehealth CEOs are talking about this massive shift that is happening right now in the telehealth space. A shift that's going to be the difference between the brands that go bankrupt and the brands that go on to make billions of dollars. And as someone who's worked with and audited over 50 telehealth brands, I'll be breaking down exactly what they're saying, how to apply it to your brand, and what you can do about this shift. Now, let's start with the first CEO. So GLP-1s are not the business anymore. And it's a big statement, but it's kind of like the overarching theme of what we're going to be talking about in this video. So going straight to the first quote from Andrew Dudum from HIMSS, we're pulling away from the field of GLP-1s on our path to becoming the world's largest consumer health platform. And why is even HIMSS putting less focus on GLP-1s? Well, the market is becoming more competitive and there's platforms like Amazon One Medical who are entering the space and the CAC is constantly rising. It's pretty much impossible to compete against these giants. They have their distribution system, they have literally 1 hour delivery option, the cheapest prices. Medication itself is becoming commodity, and you need to find other ways to win in this market. The CAC has risen to over $500 per patient, and this means that selling on GLP-1s might bankrupt you. Obviously, it's not to say that this is the case for everyone, but high demand means there are plenty of customers to attract, but GLP-1s shouldn't, in most cases, be the only thing you sell. You can still win in the market if you find your own niche, but it's not the big play for most right now. And so what to do instead is to make your brand worth more than just a product. So if you're looking at, for example, HIMSS benefits, they just launched this new system. You can become a customer of them. And when you are a customer, when you're a subscriber, you're getting access to all of these partner offerings they have, these benefits they offer through their partner brands. And I can show you quickly, but this is basically what they're offering. You know, things like take $400 off whole body scan, 11 free meals and breakfast for life, MyFitnessPal Premium, 15% off, etc., etc. So there's so many different benefits that they're offering. It's kind of like a loyalty program when you are a part of a HIMSS subscription base. So this is how you can make yourself something more than a commodity. And obviously not every brand has the resources when you're launching to have all of these in place, but it's just to say that probably there's something more than the commodity of the medication, because if that's the only thing you're selling, they can just switch to the next cheapest provider overnight and they don't have any stickiness to actually stay with your brand. Now, second quote here from Ro Chakretana. Since Ro's founding, we expanded our platform, deliver high quality end-to-end care from diagnosis to delivery of medication to ongoing care. So Ro can afford to pay more for the same patient. And why is this? A brand protecting it, for example, 3:1 LTV to CAC ratio cannot beat as aggressively as brand operating closer to 5:1. So let's say 3:1 LTV to CAC is something that I would consider like a healthy floor for a subscription-based business, like a GLP-1 business, whereas somebody who is operating with 5:1 LTV to CAC can beat roughly 2/3 more than one with even the 3:1, which is kind of like the healthy floor here. And retention changes the math. So basically just improving monthly retention from 80% to 90% roughly doubles lifetime value. That extra value gets reinvested into acquisition and allows you to win against those people who are maybe at this level. And if you're at this level, you're going to be able to use that value to get ahead of them and win them in the bid auction. So here you can see basically how this works. So let's say if your LTV was $100 at 80% monthly retention, at 90% monthly retention is double of that. These numbers scale at whatever level you are. So you're not losing because Ro has better ads per se. You're losing because Ro can afford to pay more for the same patient, and retention is what determines who wins the acquisition. And this is something that I have been talking about recently in my newsletter. So you have a link here because you're watching this video. You can go deeper into it, but it dives a little bit deeper into this specific topic that I'm just talking about here. So check it out if you're interested. Now, quote number 3 from WeightWatchers, Tara Comonti. This next chapter will shift from access to success, from how do I get GLP-1s to how do I live on them and sustain results over time. So what do I mean by this? How does this relate to anything we're talking about here right now? Basically, success creates a retention cliff because the patient has lower clinical risk and higher potential lifetime value at this point, but most brands let the life cycle go silent at this exact moment. Because stopping the treatment does not mean the problem is solved. After 1 year, here's some data, talk more about this. After 1 year, patients who stopped the treatment retained only 38 to 50% of their weight loss, and patients who moved to an oral maintenance dose retained 78 to 82%. So if you're on a maintenance dose, you're most likely retaining most of the loss that you managed to get. But if you stop completely, most of these people are kind of relapsing, regaining the weight, and actually being back at a worse situation than they were when they actually stopped the treatment. And so maintenance needs to become its own product. So how can you do this? Basically offering lower doses, so microdosing, for example, right size pricing for that, longer refill cycles, and proactive guidance so all of these things basically are something you can do to give successful patients a reason to stay, or even cross-selling to different treatments altogether. So for example, when somebody is on the weight loss medication, how can you make sure that they maintain their muscle mass? You can offer treatments like Sermorelin for them. You can offer NAD plus for people to maintain their energy levels. You can offer MIC to B12 also for the energy reasons when somebody's on the weight loss plan. There's a lot of things you can do, but key is that you need to offer something beyond the GLP-1s and make your approach to their health holistic, instead of just offering the treatment and getting them off it and then, going away. And so the best outcome can become the biggest churn risk, because access gets a patient started, and then a clear maintenance phase keeps the relationship alive after the original goal is actually reached already. Now, part 4 here, together these 3 shifts reveal where the telehealth is going. So HIMSS is obviously much more than the GLP-1s, and even more so now with the benefits program and all of this stuff that is happening behind the scenes. It's a platform that fulfills all of its patients' needs, from GLP-1s to cancer checkups to anything else that is now part of the benefits program. So they offer different categories of treatments. They offer the partner program. They offer much more than just the actual commodity, which is the GLP-1 injection. They treat GLP-1 as a hook offer, and then they offset by CAC and become highly profitable by keeping that customer in their ecosystem with all of these other sticky factors that make their brand sticky for the patient that comes in. And that's how you need to do it, because if you don't have the potential for an LTV like that, it's going to be super tough to compete in the long run against these giants. Telehealth isn't just medical e-commerce, it's the next generation of health platform. And if you want to see another shift happening in the market, you can click the video on screen or here when you're watching this document right now, and I'll hope to see you in that one.